No, na ke kuai kana hele hele ia la ia ke ki o hu e ka ua gogo. O na kino malu kalani malu e ho ulu ana o laka I kona maukahu. O makono, o makono, o makono.
Hi, I'm Eric Quam. I'm the creator of Regenerative Decision Making. Regenerative decision making is a tool in the form of a decision making process through which decision makers everywhere persuade themselves to exponentially adopt regenerative options because they want to shift from the exponentially growing incurred pollution, the exponentially growing species extinctions, and the exponentially growing incurred costs of present-day decision making to the exponentially growing avoided pollution, to the exponentially growing number of species per area, and the exponentially growing avoided costs of regenerative decision making. Project Drawdown showed that we have available to us right now 91 kinds of regenerative options that, when widely adopted, were estimated to yield more than $97 trillion of avoided costs and more than 1 trillion tons of avoided carbon pollution. For persuading themselves to exponentially adopt regenerative options, decision makers need regenerative information services in the form of accurate evaluations, comparisons, and measurements of performance benefits, economic benefits, and regeneration benefits of options for meeting human physical needs. Options for meeting human physical needs fall into two categories. The first category is things we extract options. Things we extract options are options for extracting things from the biosphere. Things like forests, fresh water, wildlife, soils, and minerals. The second category is things we use options. Things we use options are options for using those things we extract in the forms of energy options, water options, materials and chemicals options, food and fiber options, and manufacturers and structures options. What might a computer-implemented application or app look like that delivers regenerative information services? An app that delivers regenerative information services might deliver those services in the form of accurate evaluations, comparisons, and measurements of performance benefits, economic benefits, and regeneration benefits of things we extract options and things we use options. Specifically, an app that delivers regenerative information services might look like an app that processes performance data for evaluating, comparing, and measuring performance benefits of things we extract options. Might look like an app that processes incurred cost data for evaluating, comparing, and measuring economic benefits of things we extract options, and might look like an app that processes number of species per area data for evaluating, comparing, and measuring regeneration benefits of things we extract options. Specifically, an app that delivers regenerative information services might look like an app that processes performance data for evaluating, comparing, and measuring performance benefits of things we use options, might look like an app that processes incurred cost data for evaluating, comparing, and measuring economic benefits of things we use options, and might look like an app that processes incurred pollution data for evaluating, comparing, and measuring regeneration benefits of things we use options. Here's the good news about an app for delivering regenerative information services. We, as human beings, are really good at creating devices for processing vast amounts of data into usable information. And we're really good at creating apps for communicating that usable information to human beings everywhere. An app for delivering regenerative information services to decision makers everywhere for exponentially adopting regenerative options and reversing the planet's ecological crises is well within the technological and informational capabilities of human beings. Let's look again at the figure showing the $97 trillion upside of investments in regenerative information services. I draw your attention to the tiny red sliver labeled Investments in Regenerative Information Services. That red sliver represents the time and money that decision makers will need to invest in regenerative information services to win that $97 trillion upside. That red sliver is a cost for decision makers, but for providers of regenerative information services, that red sliver is income. How much income might we be talking about in that little red sliver? If the avoided cost benefits of regenerative options are more than $97 trillion as estimated by Project Drawdown, and if decision makers are willing to invest as much as $1 in regenerative information services to win $100 of those avoided cost benefits, then that little red sliver might look like a $970 billion market for regenerative information services. To put that $970 billion market in context, the market capitalization for Google, the world's third largest provider of information services, is about $980 billion. In other words, regenerative information services has the potential to be a trillion-dollar information services industry on a par with Google. Do you want to help create a trillion-dollar market for regenerative information services? If this appeals to you, please share this video and subscribe to my Regenerative Decision Making Substack channel at ecological rikkvam.substack.com. Thank you for listening, and aloha.